All right, Danny, how's it going?
Good, Kat. How you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Welcome to Player Input.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me.
Of course, of course. Um, so for many of you that don't know, Danny is one of my best friends, basically my best guy friend. We've known each other for 10 plus years now, almost.
Yeah, yeah,
Danny used to train with me. Now he's at University of Denver. But Danny, give a little bit of a background of yourself.
yeah. I go to the University of Denver right now, and I'm on the tennis team there. I'm a sophomore currently, or rising junior. Yeah, like Kat said, I've known her for many years, probably more than 10. I used to train with her and her dad. Um, and yeah, that's pretty much it. I live in Miami, Florida, so
Yeah.
pretty much.
That's the gist of it. So the reason I wanted to interview you today is because I think you have like a very special difference compared to other players because you did have the chance of going from normal school to online school and then you went back to normal school. So I think that it would be important for you to talk about it with players who might be struggling on which one to choose. So can you just talk about how in juniors switching from normal school to online school was and the pros and cons of that?
Yeah. I mean, when it comes to online and regular school, like the discussion about that is always long.
Mhm.
There's many factors that go into like the choice of going online school. Going to regular school for me was also a big choice.
Yeah.
Once I did online school, but basically, I went online for eighth grade,
Mhm.
did that 1 year. Then I went to regular high school in Coral Gables High School for ninth and 10th grade.
Mhm.
And then my junior and senior year of high school, I went back to online school and I finished my high school like that online.
Correct.
Um,
And what do you think the pros and cons were of both, if you could compare them?
yeah, I mean, the decision for me to go online was because I wanted to get better at tennis.
Mhm.
Um, and I wanted more time to travel, wanted more like leisure with my schedule, be able to like miss school, which I wasn't
Right.
really it's online for a tournament, be able to miss school for that, be able to train more.
Yeah.
So, when it what to go online, those are the things that I look like that I looked at. Those were my pros.
Right.
Now, I didn't really know how the cons would affect me, but obviously one big thing that me and my parents thought about was I was going to be kind of all alone. Like
Yes.
it's not your lifestyle for a 14-year-old to like just not be in school every day and not see his friends
Mhm.
and just not be able to do the regular things that a kid does. I was
Yeah.
training like getting up early in the morning with Caesar.
Mm.
We would go to the track and we would train while my friends were like in school, which I hated. Obviously, I mean, who likes eighth grade? But like
Right.
it was different. Um, and I think eighth grade. The reason actually I went back to school ninth and 10th grade was because I was like, all right, I made a good jump. Um, I feel like the education wasn't great in online school,
Of course.
mainly because you dictate what you do.
Right.
So, I mean, I'm sure if you had all the time to go look at every lecture and learn from every class,
Mhm.
and look at be there for the live classrooms, which is what they have, you could probably learn. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, it's not that one-on-one chemistry that you can have with a teacher, but still, you could learn. But me, I mean, apart from having many things in my schedule like tennis and tournaments, I mean,
Right.
I just wasn't going to look at the lecture. I was just doing the assignments.
Yeah. The bare minimum,
So,
basically.
right. It just felt like I didn't get a great education eighth grade. So I went back to school ninth and 10th. And I was also thinking like, it'll be good to see my friends again because it was most of the people from my middle and elementary school. So
Right.
that was going to be nice and everything. And then again, when I went junior year, I was in the IB program, which is a strong program that they had at my high school.
Mhm.
And I was going to make the choice either to stay in school and leave the IB program because it was just
Too
becoming too much,
difficult.
right? Or go online and, do my school that way. So my mom and I thought it was a good idea to just go online because if I was leaving the IB program, it's almost the same. I would
As
take the
doing
same,
online school.
right? And have more time to train, get better, not miss school. And I would say it hit me hard for a bit because that year I felt very lonely. Like after my junior year, I think um, by the time I was committing and I felt like I had no friends because my friends were doing from high school, they were doing their own thing. I
Right.
think my junior year was easier to still stay in contact. But once they made new friends and they were doing their own plans, it was like hard to include me.
Of
So
course.
I felt like I was very lonely. Like I didn't really have many friends. My best friend had already left to college. Felipe, you were
Felipe, yeah.
going to tournaments, so that was very hard. And I mean, I ended up switching academies.
Hmm.
A big part of that was because there was kids there that were my tennis friends that I could socialize with and play with. And I said, what the heck? Like, I'm almost in college. Might
Anyway,
as well
yeah.
just.
And but do you think it paid off in the end, going back to online school because of your tennis? Would you have traded it to go back to normal school, or do you think that it was worth it at the end?
I think it was worth it. I think actually looking back, I could have done even more.
Yeah,
Uh,
so that's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say, do you think you should have just kept it going and maybe those 2 years or year and a half that you went back to normal school would have made an even bigger difference?
To be honest, I don't know. I don't think so. I think my biggest jump in homeschool first was in eighth grade. I think particularly that jump was also because I was growing physically. I was
Yeah,
getting better physically. Like, I went from like going from a boy into like a teenager. I went through that process, and I think
yeah,
a lot of it was in eighth grade. So that helped me a lot tennis wise. But I think my biggest jump was, I mean, close to the summer, right before the summer that I went to college.
yes.
That was my biggest jump, and it was because I started training differently. I mean, I always trained a lot of hours,
Hmm.
but this time I started doing. I would say I was training smarter. I
Yeah.
had better competition, and I was
Quality
doing
over
fit
quantity.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I think maybe if I would go back, I would maybe switch that. I would like focus more on different things that to me would have made a bigger difference.
So let's say in terms of being an online school or a normal school, do you think that either one is okay as long as you give quality over quantity in tennis?
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously going to regular school, it's gonna be tough. Like if you're training like I was, like multiple hours a day, five to
Yeah.
six, including fitness, like stuff like that, it's just it's gonna be really hard. Like you go to school for 7 hours, and then I mean you just can't train 5 hours. You're gonna
Yeah.
train a little less. So I think it depends on the student.
Yeah.
Like if you really prioritize or athlete, if socialization is something important for you and you want to be there with your friends and you want to have a normal high school career, which is completely like normal,
Yeah.
um, I think staying in school would be a good thing to do.
Right.
And once you're in school, I mean, you could figure out things to do. Like
Hmm.
you got to figure out how you're going to train, maybe focus a lot on your fitness,
Hmm.
you know, because, you got to prioritize different things when you're training.
And do you think had you stayed in normal school and not done online school at all, you would have had the same opportunities when it came to college tennis as if you did doing the way you did now? Do you think it would have been harder, or do you think you would have not improved as much as you did?
To be honest, I probably wouldn't be as good.
Yeah.
But again, like I feel like my biggest jump, um, in my opinion, in my level,
Hmm.
not regarding like when I was younger because it's easier to get better when you're younger.
Right.
But my biggest jump was after I committed, right?
Hmm.
So I feel like it. I mean, it could be, it could not be. Obviously,
Yeah.
homeschool helped a lot. Like
Right.
I realized lots of things in homeschool.
Hmm.
There's lots of things that wouldn't have happened if I wasn't homeschooled or online school.
Yeah.
So I mean, I wouldn't trade my process for
Hmm.
anything. I think that it went well, and I learned a lot, and I gained a lot of experience and saw a lot of different things and dealt with a lot of different things. Um, but yeah, I mean, homeschool definitely helped me become a better player. So that's definitely something.
Yeah. No, I understand. I agree. I mean, I've done online school since middle school, so I don't know any other way. And I never really had the chance to go back to normal school because of I turned pro so early, so I can't even relate to you. But let's go. Give me a typical day in the life in normal school first, and then let's go typical day in online school, just to see the difference of, how training was and how academically, what time did you finish your homework, all that stuff, comparing.
Hmm. So, for example, in high school, ninth and 10th grade, I would go in to school. I think it was 7:15 a.m.
Mm.
and then I would be there till 2:20 uh, in the afternoon, and then maybe once or twice a week I'd meet with my coach Caesar at around like 3
Yeah,
um, to have like a private maybe or something like that, and then we'd do tennis with the group, a regular clinic like 4 to 7.
yeah.
Uh, and usually I think the last hour or half an hour, depending on if there was a tournament or not, would be like fitness,
Hmm.
um, which wasn't really specific, but it was still some type of fitness, right?
Right.
And then and yeah, I mean, then I would get home, just smashed at night, like just bad, and have to do like these papers and these projects and this homework, and that's what was too much for me. And
And
then
when did you end the night? Like when homework was done and you finally put your head on the pillow, what time would it be?
I mean, it depends. I mean, I would say probably 12 to 1 a.m.
Oh my God.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, it was tough because I mean, by the time you get home, like, the courts are close, but like you get home, you eat dinner, you take a shower, like all that's like 1 to 2 hours maybe.
Yeah, already. Yeah.
And then you get into homework, and by the time you mentally get ready to do homework, at least for me, that was like solid 20 minutes. I was like, all right, here we go, let's do this just for
Yeah.
20 minutes, right? So yeah, I mean, if I had a big project, forget it. Like maybe I wouldn't sleep. I mean, I even had some nights in high school where I didn't sleep.
Yeah,
uh,
no. And
so
compared to online school, like when would you start the day? What,
yeah,
5:30ish,
so
right? Didn't we start early? 5:30, 6?
I think it depends. I mean, with Caesar, he was very strict, so his schedule was a little bit different. I mean,
Yeah.
sometimes we would wake up really early and go to the track and train.
Yeah.
But I would say my regular schedule, like if I could describe it, at least when I ended, was more like 9 or 10 a.m.
Mm.
till for 2 hours, just
Hmm.
training. Um, and then I'd usually do, get back home, just chill, shower, eat, maybe do some homework if I wanted to, like,
Because no one was there to tell you to do
right.
it.
So like, and then I'd train again, probably meet like at maybe like 2 with Jorge,
Yeah.
train for an hour, and then in the afternoon, depending on how I felt, I usually felt good, I would go 2 more hours of tennis, maybe like more match play in the afternoon.
After you finish your homework and you finish all the training and stuff, what time do you normally finish with online school?
I would say for online school, I would probably finish earlier. I mean, still pretty late, but probably 11 to 12. But
Still.
yeah, but I think apart from that, I mean, I would also finish late because I just wasn't as on it as was in regular school because I'm administering my own work. So it's like, yeah, it's 11 and 12, but it's also a lot more relaxed. Like,
Yeah, but it's 11 and 12 because you didn't do your homework when you wanted to do it and you're taking your time and stuff.
plus I wouldn't wake up at 6 a.m. to go to school at 7 a.m. the next morning.
Yeah. You could do
Like
whatever you want.
right, I would wake up at 9 to go train at 10 or 8 to go train at 9. So wasn't
Yeah,
bad.
so more leeway. So do you feel like mentally, when it comes to your training, your tennis training, you feel like you were mentally more fresh when it came to online school rather than normal school?
Yeah, I would say so. I think my lifestyle was like a lot more relaxed.
Yeah.
Like the only part where I mean, I was just a lot more relaxed. Like
Yeah.
I didn't have a lot of stress on me on school, so I felt like I could focus a lot on tennis and just put my energy into that.
Yeah.
um, and just kind of relax a little bit more on school. like you said, like pressure sometimes in tournaments where I was like, crap, like I got to finish a project by Sunday, due Monday. And I'm
Yeah,
at
you
this
can't
tournament.
focus. Yeah.
Right. Like, I'm like, I mean, how am I supposed to play well if I know I have this project due at midnight tonight? Like, no
Right.
way. So,
Yeah, no.
I mean, and sometimes the bad thing was in homeschool or
You get
online school,
behind.
right? When I got backed up, now that could cause a major stress. Like
Yeah.
that could be bad because
And it was backed up by months. It wasn't backed up by days.
you gotta finish like the whole second semester of school in like 2
In
weeks.
one.
And you're like, all right,
Shit.
tennis. Let's get on school vibes now. Like,
Yeah.
but yeah, for the most part, very relaxed. A lot more lenient than regular school.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. And then, so you were talking about your biggest improvement was when you committed to college, right? That summer before you went to college, when you had already committed.
Mm-hmm.
And what do you think? What in that training session, or like what in that period of time made it so drastic, the change? Like, what was the improvement? What do you think it was?
Yeah. I mean, I remember like clearly the day. I don't remember exactly what day it was, but I remember one day where I felt like my tennis wasn't where I wanted it to be. I felt like a little overweight. I felt like I wasn't fit when I was playing.
Yeah.
And I was very motivated because the coach had told me like I probably wasn't going to play my first year.
Right.
Which when I committed was probably true. I mean,
Right.
that was definitely the case. And I was just very motivated and I was like ready to make a change. So the first change I made, even though I was still homeschooled or online schooled, is I started training with one of my coaches here now in Coral Gables. His name is Zura.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, Zura's a great coach and he's taught me a lot in this, shorter amount of time that we've been working together. I think he like made things very simple, but I think the biggest part of my switch was also that I had boys my level to play with now.
Right.
You know, before, like it was just me and the coach, you know, with Caesar, once everybody went to college, it was just me and Caesar.
Yeah, because you were the youngest.
Right. Then I went to train with another coach called Oscar, who I also love. But at the end, also, he didn't have many players for me. And so that combined with the fact that I wanted more, like, you know, to be more social, I decided to go with Zura. And, you know, his players really, like, made me better because I could practice with people my level. And they're all in college now. They're my year. So that was, like, that was great training for me. And I would say the second thing is once I did go to Zura was like, I want you boys like to get really fit and I want you guys to like just be in great tennis shape. And he's like, do you guys know any trainers that could do that? And I had like worked with Jorge a little bit before, actually with you a little bit as well, the summer before that.
Right.
And I was like, yeah, I mean, I know Jorge Valiente, like he's a great trainer.
Excellent.
And I started working with Jorge. And I think that's probably what gave me the biggest push because my game personally, like I'm definitely a grinder and I get a lot of balls back. I beat guys with like my physicality. Like I feel like I think, you know, I'm not a big guy. I don't have a huge serve. I don't have great hands. Like I don't have my forehand's, I think, my weapon, but I don't have like a crazy shot. That's like unbelievable.
And you're not that tall either.
Right, exactly. But I think my physicality on the court is still like something that I can impose on like my opponent. And so once I started training with Jorge, I mean, he got me to a point where I felt so quick, like I could get to every single ball with seconds of time remaining. Like, you know, I felt like I was on the ball every single time. And I felt like I could go 100% the entire match.
Right.
Actually, probably the only thing that was stopping me was cramping because I had a lot of trouble with cramping and going to the hospital for that. But, you know, apart from cramping, which I don't know what I need to do to fix that. But apart from that, I felt just like physically unstoppable. Like if my game wasn't on par that day and I didn't feel like I could beat the opponent with my strokes, like I was like, all right, well, I'm just going to make one more ball than this guy every single point, which I know I can do. So how's he going to beat me like that? And I think
Yeah.
that confidence that gave me was priceless.
Boost everything.
Exactly.
Yeah. Did you ever get discouraged when your coach told you that you weren't gonna play the first year and were thinking like not that you were discouraged because obviously you weren't. It made you train harder. But did you ever think of transferring to another D1 college that would have you play no matter what in the first year, or did you just want to stay there and you were gonna work so hard that you were gonna get on the team?
No, I never thought about transferring. Once I committed, like, I wanted to go to Denver all the way. I mean, I always thought, like, what if I picked another option and stuff like that. But like I said, when I committed, Denver was by far my best option. Like, it was the nicest school, best academically, well, one of the best academically, best athletically, like best tennis team
Right.
that I was looking at. So, I mean, honestly, when I committed, like, Denver was kind of a stretch for me tennis-wise, probably. Like, they had a great team. They win their conference. They were winning their conference, repeatedly.
Right.
And they had a solid team. And I knew going into, when I committed to Denver that, like, if I didn't make a big switch in my game, like, not a big switch in my game, but a big improvement in my game, I wouldn't play my first year. Like, I would be more of a walk-on position.
But when you got to Denver, since he had already in mind that you probably were going to play the first year, how did you earn that spot to be on the team the first year? What did you have to do?
Yeah, well, I think he saw in my results, like, especially that summer, like, he was very impressed with my results, and he was like, I know that you've put in work, and, like, I could see it because your results are very good. And, another thing about my results is that I was playing a lot of tournaments, which he loves.
Mm-hmm.
Any coach loves, college coaches, they like when you play tournaments outside of college, because how else are you going to get ready for the season if you're not playing tournaments outside of school, when you're back home.
Right.
And they really like that because then it makes them feel like they don't have to coach you up more than they have to if you would have already been playing tournaments.
Exactly. So you were already dedicated on your own to improving with them not being like on your back always telling you what to do, right?
Right. So I think by the time I got there, I actually remember, like, there's a regional tournament that we play, and I think it was only our top 6 could play.
Yeah.
Or I think we sent 6 guys our first year. And we had like 9 guys, so 3 guys wouldn't play. And he sent a list, and he said he was going to choose it by UTR.
Okay.
And by this time I had already made my big jump. I was about to go into school.
Yeah.
And he sent the UTRs. And I remember thinking before, when I committed, I would have been like the 9th guy. The 9th guy or the 10th, however many players there were. But when he sent that list, I was the 4th guy on the
wow.
Right. And I think that probably surprised some of my teammates because they also thought maybe I was going to come in as a walk-on, not play. And my coach, I mean, he knew what I was doing. He knew I was working. I told him when he called me and he said, when I committed that I'm probably going to be a walk-on, think about redshirting, this and that. Even though I didn't really believe it, I told him, like, okay, thank you, but I'm going to work as hard as I can to get to where I have to be to play on the team.
Yeah, so he already respected you because of that, probably.
Right. And I mean, in my heart, when I committed, I didn't really believe that I was going to make the jump, but I said it because I know I'm a hard worker, and I'm like, I'm going to work. So for sure. But I mean, I surprised myself, and right now it's not surprising to me now that I did it. I'm like, of course you could have done it. Like, of course. But at the
it's
time.
It's hard to believe it at the moment. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's so far away. Yeah. No, but that's great. I mean, it just shows that hard work pays off at the end. Right. And what do you think the biggest difference tennis-wise is between junior and college tennis?
Yeah, that's a great question because I struggled with that at first. Coming into college, I obviously had a lot of confidence because I was playing the best tennis of my life.
Yeah.
And I mean, not my life, hopefully, but best tennis of my life.
Far.
Right. Yeah. Till then. So I came in with high expectations. I came in thinking like I was going to beat up everybody, not on the team, but in tournaments, like just beat them up, like play my same level. And when I got to college, I was like losing to players that I thought I shouldn't be losing to, right? Players that were rated lower than I was. So I was like, why am I losing to these people? I would never lose to them in the juniors, this and that. Yeah. And I think I kind of fought a mental battle my first year, because the difference that I found between junior and college tennis is mentality. Like, apart from physicality and all that, like, yeah, guys are men now, so it's different. But the biggest difference I found was mentality, because in the juniors, you'll win a first set 7-6.
It's going to be 6-0.
The next set is yours. Forget it. But then you go to college, you get this like big French guy who's like, you win the first set 7-6, and he's like, screw that. Like, I'm a beat you that second set. Like, you're not taking it from me. So I think like the competitiveness, playing for your team, all of that just makes guys mentally stronger. And I was playing with guys that were mentally stronger than me at the time, and I didn't realize that. And I think I struggled with that a little bit, but it's something that I definitely adjusted this year. I think I managed my expectations. I knew what to expect going in my sophomore year. And I mean, I knew when I was playing a guy lower than me, I went back to my basics. I was like, you know, don't try to blow this guy off the court. Just play your game, make one more ball than the guy.
Right.
And that's how I started gaining more confidence and just playing better tennis this year.
So it's definitely mentally more taxing in college tennis, because it's every point kind of you have to be there, rather than junior tennis, you know. Especially I played juniors like you, 3 games, it's like you're out in space, and then they play the best 3 games of their life, and you don't know what's going to happen, you know? So you're saying college tennis is more like even.
Yeah. And yeah, definitely. And I think, you know, there's other factors too, like pressure points are big in college, you know, I'm not sure if for the girls they have the same thing, but for the guys, there's no deuce points. So when you get to deuce, the next point wins, which is huge. You could get an easy break if you're at deuce, or you can get broken easily if you're at deuce, you know?
Which everyone complains about. But how do you feel about that? Do you mind it, or like, would you rather have ads? What do you think?
You know what? Again, I think I matured a lot this year, and last year probably wasn't my favorite thing. I didn't really think much about it, but probably wasn't my favorite thing. I mean, I probably lost, I don't know. But I mean, I lost more deuce points last year than I did this year.
Right.
And this year I would just go into those deuce points just thinking like, if I just play my game, accelerate, you know, through my strokes and move quickly, there's no reason I should lose this point. Like, and if I do, then that's just too good from the other guy. He deserves it. Like, if he beats me playing my style of tennis on that point, too good.
Yeah, I feel like those deuce points, even though, you know, at times it could be luck. I mean, it's true. We can't take that away from anyone. But I think it definitely makes you appreciate the bigger points more, even when it's not deuce, when it's 40-love, 40-15, because you know that when you get to deuce, it's next point wins. Exactly. So you want to take advantage of those big points and not even get yourself to that risky point, right?
Exactly. That's another big thing. There you go. Every point matters. I mean, we're at 15 all. Like, maybe in the juniors 15 all, next point, all right, 30-15. But like college, like 15 all, like that point is big. 15 love, that point is big. Like you get up 2 points in the game, like you got a big advantage that game. Like that's great. Chances he gets back are probably low. Like, so every point counts more. And you know what? And then I think you could probably attest, like going college to pro is again the same thing.
Right.
I mean, there's gonna be there's gonna be better level, obviously, because they're pro. But I think one of the biggest things is mentally. These guys do it for a living, and they're not gonna give you any points. Like that means money for them. They're not gonna give you any money. No, they're gonna compete every single point. So
yeah, I feel like for sure, especially in men's tennis, I'm amazed at men's tennis. They're completely different animals. But like when you see like Federer, Djokovic, and Nadal practicing with guys that are like 400, 500, which is still unreal for men's tennis, you know, you see them practicing and they look the same. Like there's no difference. And then as soon as you see them play their practice points, they don't win 1 point against Nadal, Djokovic, and Federer. It's like Nadal, Djokovic, and Federer all have like a switch that they turn on, and it's like they're in their own zone, and every point is like the last point, which is incredible. I mean, the amount of focus you have to have. But I think college tennis, especially in men's, can teach you that to a sense. I mean, obviously it's not going to be as difficult as when you get to pro, but it's a beginning.
Mm-hmm.
So, and so let's talk about the hardest part about college so far. Even let's go to academically, because you said tennis wise, it was more, trying to gain your confidence, trying to find yourself. But let's move towards academics. What's the hardest part with that?
Honestly, I think probably the level of academics. I mean, going from high school to college, um, I think if you organize yourself well, which is harder to do as a student athlete, but if you organize yourself well, there's not going to be many nights. I mean, there's going to be, there's going to be a few times where it just happens to be you have a project for this class, and this class. So you're like, okay, well, that's bad luck. But usually, for the most part, if you manage to organize yourself well, and get your stuff done when it needs to be done, it's not going to be very stressful, like time-wise, Yeah. I think maybe the more stressful part, especially when you get into like the harder classes, because freshman year you take a lot of introductory courses and stuff like that.
Right.
But once you start getting into your major classes, like classes specified for your major and stuff like that, it just becomes a lot more technical, a lot more in depth than in high school. So yeah.
Of course. Yeah, because you're setting up your career for life after.
Right.
And what are you majoring in?
Right now I'm going to do a major in finance, and I'm planning to do a double minor in business analytics and either real estate or property development. Haven't decided that yet, but because I was actually going to do analytics and finance double major.
Okay.
But then I chose to just leave
Drop
the analytics as a minor. So.
Okay. All right, cool. And so, in terms of your major, what are your plans after college?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know what type of job I'll get or what type of job I want. So I tried to go into college just trying to learn as much as possible, since I knew I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And I mean, I knew I wanted to do something business related. Like I knew I wasn't going to be a doctor or a veterinarian or anything like that. So I was like, all right, I'm going to take the business track. I talked to a few people that I have a lot of respect for, and they kind of guided me. One guy specifically told me that whatever I did, I should definitely do finance as a major.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter what else I do, just do finance. So I could have that common knowledge of not common knowledge, but overall.
It's very important. Yes. I understand.
The economy and all that, the bag. Yeah. Then I started analytics because one of my teammates recommended it to me, and I liked it at first. Then I kind of started not liking it because it was very different from anything I've ever done. It's like a lot of coding and stuff, which I never thought I would like. But I got far enough where I could just get the minor now.
And did you keep it as a minor because you feel like it's important for the future, or do you still have interest in it, or is it just because you think it's gonna fit well with your finance major?
Well, I think all of the above.
Okay, yeah.
I think it's very important for the future to know something computer based or technology based. That's very important. I always say analytics is kind of like computer science for business.
Yeah.
It's probably not as in depth as computer science, but it teaches you how to use programs to help your business and just be able to predict certain things and certain economic choices. So I think that's important, and I think it's good that I did the minor. Also, I was very ahead on that track, on the analytics track. Mm-hmm. So by the time I decided not to major,
you're already too far in.
Right. All I need is one more class. So I'm like, why would I quit now? I mean, all I need is one more class.
And it's a great skill to have anyway. So you might as well just complete it. And when it comes to your future after college, I know, since I'm friends with you, I know that you always have pro as an opening. You're not one to be like, oh, I'll never make it, so I'm never gonna, you're always striving for the best. So is that still on the table? If that's an option, and do you think you'll try for a year, or do you think you'll ever dig into that part?
Yeah, I mean, that's been obviously a dream of mine since forever, since I started playing tennis, that. And I think it's probably going to come down to money issues. If I have enough money to travel, pay for tournaments, pay for hotels, coaching, as you know, it's just
it's
so
a grind.
And, if you don't have a sponsor helping you out, or your parents aren't like can't afford it, then it's gonna be really tough, right? So I would love to try, but I think I'm gonna have to wage my options once the time comes. Like we'll see, but I would love to try. And again, I think I have a lot more confidence in myself, not in my game right now, but I think in what I can become, because I didn't believe that I was gonna play for my team my first year. And boom, I surprised myself, and all it took was just really hard work.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying it's going to be just as easy, but I'm not saying I can't do it either. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's not impossible for sure. And honestly, you know, with the way things are going right now with the pandemic, if everything does go more computer-based, which is what you're studying, you could always, you know, depending on how taxing the job is, obviously, you could always work online and use that income for traveling for pro. I mean, you never know. You still have, what, another year, you said? 2 years?
2 more years, potentially 3 if I
take the extra.
Right.
And how is the pandemic affecting everything now with your school?
Yeah, well, like I just said, that was a big thing they implemented. The NCAA implemented that.
Another year, right?
Another year for everyone in spring sports. So, for example, tennis. I think soccer, for example, was fall, so they didn't get their season affected anyway. But it was like tennis, golf, spring sports, get an extra year of eligibility. So, you know, if it's my coach, we haven't really talked about it yet because there's still some time left. But for example, the guys that were going to be seniors next year, there's 3 guys on our team. The coach offered them the 5th year, and they're going to take it. So now, basically,
does that 5th year count as a re-scholarship, and then they take away from the next year, or you know what I'm saying? Like, does that count as taking away a scholarship from a freshman that's coming in?
Yeah, we would still have the same amount of scholarships. I know this year it was different. I mean, but only for 1 year. I mean, I think like not this year, for next season.
Yeah,
the coaches had the option of having a little bit more scholarship.
Okay.
But after that, it just stays normal, which basically just means that the coach isn't going to recruit anyone for that year.
Got it.
Well, I mean, not saying he won't, but that's what it means for scholarships, right?
Right.
So, yeah, it would just be like, all right, we'll just have them for 1 more year. It's basically what it means.
Giving them an extra. You think you'll take that extra year? Depends.
Again, it depends. I mean, there's lots of factors that go into it academically. What am I going to study? You know, I'm already like doing a lot, like with a major and a double minor. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, for example, I know some guys that chose to do this on my team, they're going to slow their track down, which means they're just going to take less classes and then finish like their regular college, their 5th year. Got it. But, you know, I know one of the guys wants to do like a master's and
they can use that year.
Right. And use that year for it. So if I had the option, I would probably do it. Because
and do a master's, or would you still the track?
No, I would probably try to do a master's because you know, I'm trying to get the most out of it. So I'd probably try to do the master's. And I mean, who doesn't want to be an extra year in college? Like, it's just fantastic to be there. So if I get that extra year, which hopefully I do, then I would probably take it.
And going off of that, what's your best experience at college so far?
Wow. I mean, there's a lot of, you know, there's lots of great times that I could tell you about. But, I mean.
The PG ones.
I would say the greatest experience for me has probably come on the tennis court. I think.
Shocker.
That feeling you get, like, just playing with your team is, like, awesome. Like, it's one I never got in the juniors, not to this level at least. And, like, it's just so good to, like, know you're winning for your team, like, you're losing for your team. Like, when we lost last year, my freshman year, in the finals of conference 4-3. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, it was a tough match. We had I think we had 1 match point or so. Our player was up in that match, and, like, you know, I lost my match that day. And, you know, that loss, like, I've had bad losses, but I've never felt so bad after a loss. Like, you know, because it was for my team. And I feel like I let my team down that day. And the player that got clinched against probably felt like he let his team down that day. Right. So I think it makes it so much greater. And I mean, I also have like some good stories. Like I think I think like I said, the most exciting thing about college tennis is probably, you know, when it comes to that clinching match. So that means when it's 3-all, you know, you got to play.
Whoever wins that match clinches, yeah?
Exactly. There's a doubles point, and then there's 6 singles matches.
Yeah.
So at that point, you know, I think we had lost a doubles point, got down 2 singles matches early, so we're down 3-0. I lost that day as well. Scrub. And but
you suck.
we're at 3-all at that point though. We come back, win 3 singles matches, and we're playing BYU, who for us, you know, we're both in the mountain region. They're a pretty big rival for us because they're in Utah, so they're pretty close to us. We play them every year almost. So it's a big rivalry, I would say, for our tennis teams. And also, we just don't get along. Like, we just do not like that team. So, right? And so going into that match, it was very heated. We were playing at home that day. And I just remember the coaches were getting all up in the referees. Like, they were, like, complaining about calls, complaining about everything. Like, and it was just really heated. Their coaches were, like, pumping fists in our face. And we're like, all right, like, what's going on, right?
Yeah.
So it gets to this 3-all match, and our senior's playing for us. His name is Pedro. And they go into a third set, and Pedro gets down 5-3 in that third set. So we're like, you know, ready to pack up the bags. We're like,
damn, we're going to get drunk tonight.
Well, he's down 5-3, 40-15 returning, which is
almost impossible. Yeah.
And we're like, all right, man, like, let's see what happens. So he saves that game, saves 3 match points that game, and then goes to 5-4, saves another match point there on a deuce point, 5-all, 6-5, 6-all. So they're at the tiebreak now, and it's a tight tiebreak again, and it's 6-all in the tiebreak.
Oh my God.
And again, the coaches have been complaining about calls. Their coaches. Their team was like talking trash to us.
Yeah.
We were talking so much trash back. It was probably bad, but so it gets to 6-all, and then the kid hits a forehand. The opponent hits a forehand to Pedro, which he calls out. And I saw the ball out personally. And then, but their team starts complaining again, like, ridiculous call, this and that. Then the coach says something to the referee. And so at this point, it's 7-6 us because the referee agreed with our call. So they're complaining. The coach says something to the referee, and then the ref at this speed says this. He goes, code violation, coaching sports conduct, point, penalty. And then we just all sprinted off the court.
Calm, right? Was he like looking straight at the coach's eyes, like, take this?
Like, he was like nothing, like we weren't waiting. Like, we were just, say what you're gonna say. Like, he was waiting like 10 seconds to say that. He was like,
he's like, I'm gonna say it.
We're like, are we gonna run? Like, are we gonna do this? Like, so that was a great time. It just,
and they were probably cursing. Your opponents were probably like, what the fuck?
They hated it, man. No one shook our hands. They just,
oh my goodness,
out of there. I mean,
they were probably so pissed.
Yeah, they were pissed off.
Oh my goodness. And that ref is like, take that, man.
Yeah,
take it.
Ref was like waiting for it.
I was waiting for this for the last match. Oh my goodness. All right, to top everything off, give us one word of advice that you would give to junior boys who are trying, their dream is to get into D1 college. What would you tell them?
You know, personally, in my journey, I think if there was a word that I would have to say, you know, something I talked about a lot this interview is just work. Like, there's really not much to it. Like, yeah, you could be better at tennis. Like, I was never really talented growing up. I mean, I was always a solid player. Like, I'm not gonna say I was terrible. I was solid. Yeah. I was good, but I was never like really good. I was never great. And I mean, I always put in work, and like, even though it wasn't paying off, like, I was always just putting in work and sacrificing, and like, not going to parties in high school, like not going out with my friends sometimes to like have lunch or something or dinner. Like I was just working. Like my plans were, when people would invite me to do stuff on the weekends, they were like, hey, you down to come? It's like, no, got a tournament. No, I got to train. I got this. So I was just like putting in work all the time.
But you
and
enjoyed it, right?
I loved it. I mean, I loved it. I wouldn't change it. And, you know, I tried different things. And at the end of the day, you know, at the end, the work paid off.
And did you feel like if you didn't work hard that day, did you feel bad? Like, were you like, man, I should have worked harder? Like, I should have done more? Or did you ever feel like satisfied? Or was there always something you were hungrier for?
No, I think I was always pretty hungry. I mean, you know, I think there's probably not many days I could remember where I didn't give 100%, in my opinion. I mean, you're never going to give your full 100% every day, because maybe right that day you come in tired, but I know at least 98% of the days I gave 100% of what I had that day or more.
Right.
So I know that. And you know, I mean, you gotta love it though. You definitely gotta love it. Because even in college, like it's tough to train. You know, still people ask me to go out sometimes. It's like, no, I got a match, or I have tournaments, I got to travel.
Yeah.
But if you love it, like
it's all worth it.
Nothing you'd rather do. So yeah.
Yeah. All right, great. Thank you so much, Danny. I really appreciate you coming online. It was great talking to you.
Yeah, thanks, Kat. Have a good one.
All right. Thank you too.